Yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mike Yanek Show, episode 53, I think. Doesn't matter. Every episode is amazing and it's great. And yes, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope you're having a great week. And yes, I am still in lockdown all by myself. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I am in lockdown, so I'm just going bananas. And I'm just recording podcasts, screaming into the void, into the internet. Hope you're doing well. Listen, last episode, if you've seen last week's episode 52, it went a bit haywire. It went a little bit off the rails. It was not. It was kind of unexpected. I didn't expect to happen what actually happened. If you've seen it, you saw the madness. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it and then come back and watch this episode. Okay? I was supposed to talk about Pokemons. Who doesn't like Pokemons? There's no controversy with Pokemons, okay? But the thing is, I had this book, the black book, of goals or whatever, and I was thinking like this resembles the Bible, and I went off to rant about, priests in America and all that type of stuff. But it was very fun. But today we're gonna stick to the script, hopefully, and I'm gonna tell you about my obsession with Pokemons when I was a teenager. It was a crazy 6 months journey, and it was very intense. You know what I'm saying? Like a Coke party in the 80s. There was some casualties, you know. But no, I'm gonna talk about that, and also I want to talk about something that I saw in December that really kind of changed my perspective towards the new year, and I kind of inspired all those changes around you, because if you've seen the episodes before, you knew that I was filming in a different location of my place. But yeah, and that's about it. I'm just checking the script. Yeah, okay. I'm going to talk only about those two things. Okay. Listen. So I've been doing the podcast. So recently we had the 1 year anniversary of the show, and we had I was just thinking a lot. You know what I mean? Like how to improve, and I've always liked to work on moving forward. Doesn't matter what project I do, and I always start at the zero. You know what I mean? And I think it's great because if you start if you start very high, there is a very small room of improvement and working towards making it better. I'll give you an example. For instance, when I started the podcast, it was just audio form, and I knew I wanted to do video, but I was like, I need time. I need to learn how to speak. There's nobody in the room when I'm doing this. There's no producer, there is no audience, there's nobody to give you feedback or to laugh at your jokes or whatever, or to be like, oh, you were talking about this and now you're going to talk about this to help you out. I don't have a, how do you call it, teleprompter. I just write stuff here, but I don't even look at it half of the time. You know what I mean? I'm just talking shit. So I was like, I need to learn how to talk without an audience and without kind of stopping. I hate dead air. I love podcasts and I listen to so many, and most of the time I don't look at them. I just put the audio on, minimize the screen, usually on YouTube, and I just work because and they play in the background, or I do something around the house, chores, clean or whatever. And whenever there's dead air for more than 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I literally sometimes even pull out my phone or just check the video, because I was like, what happened? Did it stop? Or maybe the internet is down? And I was like, oh, they were just dead air. Most people don't mind, but not me. I want to be jam-packed with content. You know what I'm saying? You better give me that good stuff. No wishy-washy over here. And me saying that there was a little dead space because I was burping in my mouth. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, sometimes it happens. I'm a human like everybody else. Okay, am I the most perfect? Am I the most perfect man on the planet? I wouldn't say the most perfect, but I'm up there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe number two, number three. Okay, I mean The Rock. Okay, let's say The Rock is number one. Okay, who doesn't love Dwayne Johnson's The Rock? Okay, I'm number two. You know what I'm saying? And number three is that Aquaman guy. You know what I mean? So listen, doesn't matter. I'm talking shit, but we love The Rock and we love Jason Momoa. I just love saying his surname, Momoa. Isn't it Mimosa? No, what was his surname? Jason Momoa, isn't it? You gangster, bro. I wish dude, if I looked like that guy, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, I'll be slinging so much dick. Bro, there's not gonna be a I would say something stupid. No, don't say it, Mike. We live in weird times, okay? Don't be such a pig. Let's just say that I'll be very popular with the ladies, and I'll treat them nice, and I'll take them out to dinners, or even pay for it. But no, man, if I look like that guy, Jesus Christ, jacked. Oh, listen, by the way, I'll get back to the stuff that I was talking. I don't even know what. Oh yeah, hold on. Talking about nonsense now. So yeah, there is like, and then I was like, I need to learn how to talk, and then I was like, I need to create a logo because the first logo was very basic. And then I created the logo, then created like a little screen. It was still audio, but there was, like for the video, on YouTube, but there was like a little screen. Then I put the video on from my cell phone in the video. I did it for a few episodes with my cell phone and a very bad tripod. Then I bought like this current camera, and now I'm working towards expanding to a better one, right? And then I got one ring light over here, and then eventually after 20 something 30 episodes, I finally, because I was like, I came up with this idea like maybe like a month and a half, 2 months ago. I was always thinking about it, but I never did anything about it. I was like, yeah, I should start having guests, and I was thinking like maybe this table and just have guests on this side and that side, me on this side, the guest on that side. But then the lockdown happened again, and I was like, I wouldn't be able to do guests. But then after I watched the video that I'm about to talk about now, I was like, okay, let's pull the trigger, and I did it. And I was like, I got this table maybe like a few weeks ago, and I was like, let's do the first episode of season 2, 51 of January. Episode 51 on the 8th of January is going to be the new setup. So this is like a new version. So pretty much I started from zero, but if I started the first episode like this, because I feel now that I'm roughly 50% there. You know what I mean? If I get a new camera, that's a bit added, a bit more. If I get 100% for me is getting my own studio, like literally renting an office space in Liverpool city center and having the camera, having a few cameras, having a couch, making it like a studio where I can have guests with the lights and everything. That's 100% for me, and that is my goal and my dream, and hopefully maybe in 2 or 3 years I'll manage to do that, So I started from zero, and not only it's really fun, but it also looks, I don't know, people like to see progression, you know what I mean? Because if I started with a studio at 100%, there's no more. That's it. Like, that's the top. If you have the professional studio with the cameras and everything, that's it. Where else you gonna go? And people are gonna look at the podcast, and some people will like it, other people wouldn't like it, but they were like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, But with this thing, people are involved, people look at it, people are like, oh, there's some new stuff, there's some new improvements, new camera, new background, and it's just more fun, when you start from zero and you start to build up, But my thing was, and I think most people do that, we want to build in big chunks. You be like, you start from zero, but you want to go to 25%. It'll be like in one go, you know what I mean? And it usually doesn't work that way. That's why I was kind of like, well, I don't have the nice camera. Let me get the nice camera. Maybe if I have a bit more stuff, maybe then I'll transfer and do it here. You know what I mean? I was kind of delaying it. I don't know why, but I was just like, I'm not ready. I need more stuff. But after I watched this video that I'm about to say now, it completely changed my mind. And then I'll get to the Pokemon story. So the video that I recently watched, maybe like 2 months ago, is... So there is this legendary comic book artist called Todd McFarlane in America, and he's probably one of the most famous ones ever and very successful. And he has his own studio now, for comic books, and he has, like a toy company, like action figures and statues and all that stuff, and they're amazing, right? And I've been into comic books for a few years now, but like on and off, I'm a casual fan, you know what I mean? Because when I was growing up in Bulgaria, we didn't have comic books. We only had Mickey Mouse Club, which was Mickey Mouse comics, but that's like kid stuff when I was growing up. But we didn't have Spider-Man, Batman, and all that stuff. We had the animated series, the movies, and the toys. Toys were always bootleg or whatever, but we didn't have the comic books for some reason, right? And when I moved here, I kind of, for the first time, at the old age of 26, 27 or whatever, I kind of saw comic books, and I was like, oh, this is fucking amazing, right? So I'm just like a casual reader. I have like 50, 60 copies over here, but I'm not like a collector that has like key issues, and I read them. You know what I mean? So, and I don't care about key issues. I just want to read the story and the condition and reselling it, and I look after them, but I'm not like I'm just a reader. And so he was telling this story because he's hugely successful now, but he was telling the story when he first started, and he was a very bad artist, and that's kind of bizarre when you hear that somebody is so good and made all this money in that industry, but when you find out that he was actually not good, that's kind of interesting, because some people, they're like wunderkind prodigies, or whatever the hell they call prodigies, and they're like like Picasso, he was like 80 years old, and he painted like a 40-year-old can paint, who's been painting for 25 years or 30 years. He was a prodigy, wunderkind or whatever, but he wasn't. He was very bad, he said. And when he submitted some work, when the feedback came, they said, that's not good, like your arms are not good, the head is not good, the shoulders, like there's a lot of issues that you need to work at. And he said that most people will sit down and they will try to fix the whole thing. They'll try to improve the whole character at once. You know what I mean? They'll sit down and they'll be like, okay, da, 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 da. But what he did, and I never even looked at it that way, he said, I sat down, and for the next week, the only thing I focused on was like his hand. That's the only, for the next week, I only worked on the hand, and my goal was to improve it with 2%. That's it. Don't make it perfect. Don't make it 100%. You'll never make it perfect, right? Just 2% for the next week, and just slowly, he drew it over and over and over again, different shapes, sizes. He looked at biology, anatomy books or whatever, school books, because they have the pictures of the human body and how it moves. And that's it, just 2%. The next week or the next day or whatever, forearm, and same stuff, only with 2%. And then you have the triceps, biceps, then you have left shoulder, right shoulder, pec, then you get to the head, and then like nose, eyes, and just focus the next few days only on that, and just only improve it with 2%, right? And then when you finish with the whole thing, then the whole thing is 50%, 60% better, because each part is only with 2% better. When I hear that, it's so fucking simple, and I've never looked at life that way. I've always been the guy who was like, when you give me a feedback, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to fix the whole thing. So if you said to me, Mike, you need to improve the podcast, and I was like, oh, damn. And then I was like, well, okay, I need to do a new logo. I need to do new lights. I need to, maybe learn how to tell stories better. I need to upload. I need to put more tags. All these, like the whole picture at once. No, only 2%. And I was like, fuck. And I was amazed. And now the podcast has a new logo, has a new set, has a new table, has one more ring light, has, when I'm posting them, I mean, I still the description is kind of the same, but still, you know what I mean? Like the inscription, the thumbnails are different. Look how much stuff have improved, and in one episode difference. I had a Christmas special, but I was like a buffer, and I took 10 days off or a week off from everything, social media and internet, and look how many improvements, just because I followed that mentality. So I sat down one day, and I think for 3 days straight I worked only on the logo, nothing else, and just little details here and there, different colors, different shapes, trying out, and I think it's still not finished. It's not completely finished. I want to do a little bit more different bits and pieces, and I need to look for a professional, because I did it myself, online, but I need to look for a professional designer, because I have a few ideas that they can make the logo look a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? And that's changed. And then the location, I was like, okay, I sat down one day, and what I did the whole day, I just looked for a table, I found a table, I ordered it, right? And then I was trying out lights, and I was just playing with the lights for the whole day, nothing else. I did some filming, I did some recording, but then I looked at the footage. I was like, okay, so let me put a light there, let me put a light here, I put one up there, I have two here, let me see the camera, this and that and this and that, so I know which angle I need to choose, And as you can see at the top, there's like, the top of the Batman box. it took a few times to be like, okay, where's my head? How much space? So now I know, when I do the camera, how much I need to lift it up. And the top of the screen, that you're seeing needs to be roughly where the top of the Batman box is, around that area, and those little details that I would never even think about, oh, let me try the microphone with the box on, microphone with the other box on, and how do you see it? And just those little fucking things, that 2%, and it blew my mind. You know what I mean? As I said, I'm not like a motivational speaker or anything like that. I used to want to be back in the day, but I want to be a comedian. I want to make people laugh. But I was thinking, like, I think this will be informative because, the podcast, it cannot always be funny. Sometimes it's funny, goofy stories, but sometimes it's sad stuff, but other times it's stuff like that. And I think that's very interesting. And my mind was blown from something so fucking simple. Honestly, I remember when I looked at it, I was like, I would, like, my life, I would look life completely differently from now on whenever I want to, do a project or work or business or whatever. And that's it. It's just those little things. And you can put that in your personal life as well. It doesn't have to be podcast or business, whatever you want to do, little goals. And I'm buzzing with the setup now. The only thing that I don't like is, the setup takes a long time, but I'm slowly working on that as well, to buy some tripods and this and that. I'm working to get in a new couch. So if I can get it, we're trying to get it off my girlfriend, one of her colleagues. She doesn't need it, but it looks brand new. It's very nice, like a red couch. So hopefully, or I can get my girlfriend's old couch, which is kind of new as well. It's a black couch. I'm trying to negotiate that one, but she doesn't want to give it away. God damn it! And when we get the new couch, and once the restrictions are finally lifted, we can actually start having guests. Because one day I was like, when I was doing the setup, I was like, let's try to see if I can have guests, right? So the table is going to be here, I'm going to be here, and the guest is going to be there, and the camera is going to be a wide shot of all of us, and we're going to have 2 more cameras, one for me, one for them. And I can finally have, and I know some interesting people, bro. I can get you comedians, I can get you actors, I can get you a drag queen, okay? That's how far, because I did a gig, I emceed for the drag queens, and they were all lovely, so I'm pretty sure I can get a few of them if I contact them, because I talked to them after the gig. Who else can I get you? I can get you everybody. I can get you my mate. I wouldn't say his name, but he's like a huge wrestling fan. We can talk about wrestling. I'm pretty sure I can probably even get a professional wrestler. I don't know if I'll get it in the house, and him or her in the house, but maybe online or something. Because we go to wrestling conventions, and they're like up and coming wrestlers who have their own stalls, and they're very hungry for publicity, any type of exposure. I also want to get a professional stripper. I've said that many times. Professional stripper. I want to get that guy. I did the episode 2 of the podcast where I saw a documentary about buffets. Weird, I know. And I saw an owner of a buffet, specific one. I don't remember where he was, but I'll go back and I'll find it. I want to get him on the podcast. Bro, I have so many people, you know what I'm saying, that I can get on the podcast. And that's it. It's just, let me just see how much I've done. I think it's time for my Pokemon story. And but just those little things, like just 2%. How fucking simple that is. And I don't know, man. I thought this is an important story for me to tell you, because what am I about to tell you now is gonna be fucking ridiculous, okay? And this is the Mike Yanek show in a nutshell. The first part, you get this real life-changing information, and now you're gonna hear me obsessing over Pikachu and Ash Ketchum and all those little motherfuckers over there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let me just tell you something though. I was thinking the other day, because I used to do before, so I haven't been single in 6 months, but before that, when I looked at the podcast, I was checking some episodes the other day. I used to talk so much about dates, being on a date, Tinders, disaster stories from dates, and all that stuff. Let me tell you something. Those stories, by the way, I got people texting me stuff saying that they really enjoy those stories. But let me tell you something. Those days are over. Like I'm much happier now and much more relaxed and stuff in a steady relationship. But let me just tell you something. The only good thing from being single and dating is the stories, because the stories are horror show, but they're funny and they're interesting to listen to. You know what I'm saying? But being out there on the market sucks, okay? Because the single market is a fucking shit show, bro. There's a reason all these people are single out there. I'm like one of those, when you have like activists or something, like revolutionaries or whatever, and they're all like, oh, we are against the system, we're against the government. But something happens, and they're like, I will run for office. And they elect them, and they become corrupt. And 3 months later, they're like, oh, you need those bloody protesters or whatever. They become like a corrupt politician. I'm the same way. I'm talking shit about single people now. It'll be funny though if something happens in a few months. I'll be like, well, I'm back. I'm single again. Nah, I think I'll be fine. But yeah, it's an absolute shit show. So that's why, the podcast is going to be missing on some fucking crazy stories. And I think I pretty much told all of them. Like, literally, I've been doing this 52 episodes, and half of the shows have been stories. So I've done pretty much all my single life stories. And the thing is, my missus, she's not very fond of me talking about our own lives. Let's just say I got into a little bit of trouble. I did an episode where I talked about that she wanted me to quit comedy because, she was not happy and all that type of stuff. But this was, I think it was during when they lifted up the restrictions and stuff, so we thought that there's not going to be a second lockdown. So she was like, you need to look for a full-time job. I work part-time. You need to look for a full-time job and blah 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 blah, and slow down on the comedy. So I was like, nah, that's not happening. But now, I mean, I don't know what was happening with comedy, but yeah, so she was not very happy about that and the way I phrased the title and the stuff I talked about, because apparently her friends watch at work. So, oh damn, Mikey boy was in big trouble. I was, but hey, show business. I said to her, listen, babe, ain't no business like show business. You know what I'm saying? I gotta entertain the people. I gotta make it funny and interesting. You know what I'm saying? But what can you do? So there's not going to be any more single stories on the podcast anymore. Fortunately, I don't think that I have any more left. Probably have like one or two, but I wouldn't feel comfortable because I know she's watching. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying those stories and then coming over and get some weird texts and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Damn, bro, I gotta be like a nice, good boy. I'm too crazy. I'm a wild man. So, I gotta behave. And yeah, no more stories of that. And I'm going to be doing some segments again. I need to start doing segments. I used to have so many segments during the summer, like Florida news and like all that type of stuff. But I'll do them. I also, because I come across a lot of funny comments on YouTube, what other videos, just random comments that make me laugh so much. So I was thinking to do like a segment where I just read out funny comments, and obviously I'll give the name and to the person and shout out and all that stuff, so it doesn't so it wouldn't feel like I'm stealing just so I can have content, you know what I'm saying? Probably do that, probably do some videos as well. But mostly sticking to stories now because I don't know, man. There's nothing happening, you know what I mean? And the thing is, so now with the whole lockdown and stuff, I've always been like, I've always loved pop culture, but because before I'm always so busy and I work all the time, and before, especially gig, and I didn't have that much time to, like, I've always loved wrestling, but I didn't watch that many of it because I don't have time. I loved comics, but I don't read them that often. I love like sitcoms and animation and movies and all that stuff. But I was just busy. But now with this lockdown, and I've been going completely berserk. And because now I'm 31, so I'm at that stage that I have such a nostalgia for the old stuff I used to love and watch as a teenager and as a kid, and I have all these memories now, and sometimes I get emotional as well. It's crazy, you know what I mean? And that is completely because of the lockdown, because I'm trapped in my home all the time and I work in the day, but 4, 5, 6 o'clock max, I'm finished. And then what? You know what I mean? I'll sit on the couch and watch shit. And I was like, but because I cannot watch nowadays, Hollywood is completely dropped the ball. The last 10 years, everything is horrendous. They make, with a few exceptions, obviously, but I like to watch old movies because it's like a time capsule. And I started watching old TV shows and sitcoms that I used to watch as a kid. Like, for instance, one of my favorite shows, and that's a show that probably very few people know, and I know we have some people from America watching. If you're like an older guy, you probably know it. If you're like in your 40s or something. But in Bulgaria, growing up, we used to literally get American shows that were from, it was like, let's say the year is 2000, and we're just getting. There's a show called Step by Step, which was, like, which was probably, well, late 80s, early 90s in America. We used to get Dallas, the fucking that soap opera or whatever, and one of the other shows. And these are a Taxi, not the movie, the sitcom, which is again with Danny DeVito and Andy Kaufman, and that's from the late 80s or something, isn't it? And we're just getting it now in America, the year 2000. Oh, because I remember I was in the fourth grade. No, I was in the second grade, or second or third grade, when that show, Perfect Strangers. Oh my god, one of my favorite shows. I have so much nostalgia, and I found it online, and I actually want to watch it with my girlfriend because she's never seen it, and I have so many memories. I was obsessed with that show. Okay, it's 85 or 86 or something like that debuted it, and it came in Bulgaria year 2000 or whatever. They were like brand new show. So we still in Bulgaria. I talked to my dad, and he was like, they still play MASH. It's 2020. That show has been 50 years old, and they still play very old shows. My dad loves sitcoms, and that's how we used to bond, and that's why I love them so much. And it's about an immigrant, Greek immigrant, but they didn't, Balki Bartokmus, they didn't say his nationality, who finds his cousin, Larry, who lives in Chicago, and he just goes there. He's an American Larry, so they just, and he just lives there, and it's adorable sitcom. The other one is Third Rock from the Sun, and if you've never seen Third Rock from the Sun, what are you doing with your life? If you're a comedy fan, absolutely unbelievable. It's probably, for me, one of the best sitcoms, and I was obsessed. But the first 4 seasons are amazing. No, first 3, but the season 6 is very hard to watch. Season 4 and 5 are good as well, but the first 3 are unbelievable, right? Married with Children as well, like stuff like that, old school stuff. Friends, I love Friends, when I was growing up, but it's making a resurrection now because of Netflix and stuff. All the little Zoomers, all the little kids are watching it, and they're getting shocked because, oh my god, how this is so offensive. And I was like, if you think Friends was offensive, you need to watch Married with Children. That was the most insane show ever. Okay, there's like compilations of Al Bundy roasting fat women in his shoe store online. Okay, I mean, what the hell? Listen, let me tell you about my Pokemon obsession because I'm running out of time over here. Listen, so I was in the 6th grade, I think. That's about 13, 14 years old. And Pokemon's been around in Bulgaria for about maybe 6, 7 months at that point, and it was massive. It was just starting to explode. And the thing about Eastern European countries, in the late 90s and early 2000s, we didn't get everything like England or Canada or, I don't know, Australia will get, you know what I mean? So, for instance, you have Pokemon, Digimon, what was that, Bakugan, or my little sister, she used to be in those. She loved them back in the day, that's why I know them, and something else. But we didn't get all of them. We get only Pokemon. So, you know what I mean? When cartoons come over, you have this whole batch, you don't get all of it. You just get like 2. When wrestling came over, you had WWE, WCW, ECW. We get only WWE, you know what I mean? This is how it was, because when they cut deals, they couldn't afford back in the day to buy everything. And this is pre-internet and all that stuff, Like in Bulgaria, mass internet, to be like, I got my first computer with internet when I was like in the 8th grade, you know what I mean? So, this was before I probably even had a computer. I don't know, 5th, 6th grade. So because they didn't have money, we had only limited stuff, and we had Pokemon, but we had only the first season of Pokemon, which is the first generation. Now, if you don't know anything about Pokemon, that's fine. You still enjoy the story. If you're a hardcore fan, you really love this because you know the little references and all that stuff, right? And it's been around for about 6 months or something. And at that point, 5th, 6th grade, I think I was playing basketball, but I'm not sure because I used to have basketball for 4 years. I was obsessed with it from the 6th to the 10th grade. Anyway, so I heard about it, but I was like, nah, what is this? I'm not interested. I have other things to watch. And everybody was talking about it. Everybody was collecting the cards and the toys and all that stuff, in school. Everybody was talking about it. But the thing is, it kind of was seen as, because I was like, I was the 6th grade, I think it was kind of seen as childish. You know what I mean? Because guys my age, they were starting to get interested in girls, and they were smoking and drinking. I came from a bad neighborhood, okay? And they were doing all these shenanigans or whatever, but I was like, nah, I can't be bothered with this. One day I gave in because it was like all over the news. It's like the Kardashians. You cannot escape that shit. It's everywhere you turn. Even if you don't follow their show or you're not involved, you're kind of involved because you kind of know what's happening. Like, for instance, the other day I was just scrolling and I found out that Kardashians and Kanye West are getting a divorce. I don't care, I don't follow that news, but it's everywhere. You cannot escape that stuff. So I was like, I cannot be bothered, but I gave in. All right, so one morning, it was only Saturday and Sunday morning. That was the only time they showed it. Pre-internet, all that stuff. We had, first, second, third channel, kind of. So it was on channel 3, right? And I remember they used to play, well, I think it was 2 episodes or maybe even 4 episodes, but it was very early in the morning. I was literally probably like 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, sorry, probably half 7 or probably 8, from 8 to 10, and because that's reserved for cartoons, so that's why they played it. And it was like 20 minutes an episode, so yeah, maybe 3 episodes or maybe even 4, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. So one day I was like, you know what, fuck it, bro, I'll just let me see what the fuss is all about, because I cannot stand this anymore. Everybody's talking about it. And I remember I was in the kitchen. We had this like little television, and I didn't have my own room because we grow in a 1-bedroom apartment, in Eastern Europe, in those big block of flats, 5 people. So in the kitchen there was the TV, and there was like this little couch. So that was like my little area, and I had my little magazines there or whatever, little games, toys. And I'm with a blanket, and it's fucking cold, bro. It's like, during the winter, it's freezing in the kitchen, and I remember it's like 8 o'clock. I'm half asleep, and I put on the TV. The show comes on, and Pokemon gotta catch 'em all, and like the intro is very captivating. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've never seen this before. Bright colors, and that fucking guy Ash Ketchum, throws the balls, and those little thingamajigs are coming out of it, and they're fighting. And I was like, oh wow, that looks interesting. And I remember there was an episode where it was just the beach. It's just like, I don't remember the episode, don't know what happened in it. I only remember that scene. Sometimes something just gets tattooed in your brain. You know what I mean? It just stays there forever. You don't know why. It's just a random little thing, but it just stands there. And I remember I have all my blankets and I'm freezing. And, there's like, how do you call it? When you do this, and there's like the little things coming out of your mouth because it's so cold. And I remember this little scene with the beach. And then I was like, oh, what the hell is that? Because, the animation was so different. And by the end of the episode, I was hooked, mate. I was so hooked. I watched the 3 episodes, and I left, and I was like, oh, fuck. Because so my addictive gene is very strong. I don't know what it is, but I get addicted so easily to stuff. That's why I've never done drugs. And by the way, I'll tell you the full story why I've never done drugs and probably never will. And it's an insane story, but it's for another episode. I need to write it down before I forget it, by the way. And I just knew. I was like, oh, fuck. And I knew that the next 6 to 12 to maybe few years, this is going to be my life. I'm going to be out there chasing fucking Pokemons, because this is just how I am wired, And and I just went to that room. I sit down on the couch, and I was like, shit. And now I need to go and buy shit. And then I started, watching the show religiously. I usually don't wake up early on the weekends, but I was like religiously started watching the show. I remember my father used to have a VCR, but back in the day he had VCR with 2 cassettes, so you can record from a cassette to another one, or you can record from the TV to a cassette. And I remember I used to go to his place early in the morning, right? Go on Friday night and stay there for the weekend and record the episodes. But what I recorded, I was only recording, I don't know why, but I was only recording the actual battles when they had with the Pokemons. I don't know why. So I'm literally standing next to the TV with a record button, because I don't know if he had a remote or something for it. So I'm just literally waiting, just like, pressing in and out, and just stopping. So it's hilarious. So he's sleeping in the other room or whatever, and I'm out there recording fucking Pokemon shows. So yeah, we had a lot of merch, but everything. So in Bulgaria, everything was bootleg back in the day. So everything that was Disney, Pokemon, fucking Marvel, everything is fake. Everything is from China, Turkey. That's it. Everything, because it's very expensive to import and to get licensing. And we had one store, for instance, like in town, that was like they had Lego, they had Disney stuff, they had like a bit more licensed stuff, but it was so expensive. Only the rich kids could get there, you know. So I had everything. I had sticker books. Oh my god, we had like fucking croissants with like little stickers inside. We had little snacks with stickers. Had sticker book. We had like everything. I bought a hat, like a hat that kind of resembled, the guy from the show. I got the fingerless gloves. I got like these what is it, like dark green or black or whatever gloves. I think they're like my mom's gloves, just unisex normal gloves. And I have small hands, so I bought my mom's, and I cut the fingers, and she was like so mad at me, like, "What did you do to my gloves?" And I was like, "I'm catching Pokemons. Get out of here!" We had like these little Pokeballs, and inside there was bubble gum and some like sticker or whatever. So what I did, because I couldn't, they were Pokemon toys, but I couldn't afford them. So what I did is I bought uh those little balls. Oh man, just telling this story and just thinking about it makes me so fucking happy. It used to be such a fun time. I had an amazing childhood, honestly. We were broke as fuck, but I was super resourceful, so I kind of knew how to have fun with very little. So we used to have these little balls. So what I used to do, they were very cheap. They were maybe like 25 pence or something. Even I can afford them. So I used to buy a whole bunch of them. And I got my grandmother because she was a seamstress. So she could, she had a machine. She was very good back in the day. But now she has issues with her eyes. So she doesn't do it anymore, unfortunately. So I actually showed her pictures, and I actually drew the design, and she actually made small plush Pokemon toys for me. She made three, but because the thing is, because most of them are very complicated, you know what I mean? The the Pokemons are very, very complicated. So she literally did the shittiest Pokemons ever. One of them was like this purple. I'll put the picture up. Was one of this like purple blob of stuff. So she made me this one. She made me another one, which is a cocoon, and what was the other one? The other one, which is one of my favorites, is like this thing. It kind of looks like a moon rock or something, and I don't know the names. I'll put the names as well. And it has like the Ghastly or something, I think it was called. So she made me Ghastly. I really liked him, Ghastly, and I loved him. Even though they were such lame Pokemons, I loved them. And what I used to do is I put them, because they're little plushies. So I put them in the bowl, and you can, close the bowl, and I walk around the house, right? And I'm a teenager. I'm 13, 14. I'm supposed to be out there, smoking, drinking, chasing girls or whatever. No, I'm at home chasing Pokemons. So I got the little bow, and I play the soundtrack or whatever, like Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. And I start to play pretend, like, oh, Pikachu, blah, 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 blah. And I meet somebody else, and another Pokemon trainer, and I got the bow, and I throw the ball, and because they are very sturdy, they're plastic and they're cheap. Even if I break them, it's not a problem. I have plenty. It bounces off the wall, and because the balls are designed to open just when you squeeze them or just hit them, and they open. That's the point of it. And when I hit it across the wall, it opens, and the little plush toys just fucking jump off. You know what I mean? And I do that with another one, and then I sit down and I'm like, and I start fighting them. You know what I'm saying? Again, I was a teenager. It was listen, being a nerd now is very popular, it's very trendy. Back in the day, you get your ass kicked, you know what I mean? I wasn't like a full nerd, and I liked some geeky stuff, but I wasn't like a smart nerd. I liked a few stuff, but I was mostly obsessed with basketball. But even back then, people made fun of me and they kicked my ass, you know what I mean? It's not like now. If you were like a 14, 15-year-old now, like my sister now, or my little cousin, she's like 18 now, or my little sister, she's like 11, and I tell her these stories, especially to my little cousin, and she doesn't understand. She was like, oh, but that's cool, like that. And I was like, being into Spider-Man when you're 15 back in the day, get your ass kicked. Not like now. Everybody loves comic books and all that stuff. Now it's trendy. Like, look at the biggest movies, the old Marvel movies, and the box office. That would never happen back in the day. You get your ass kicked if they catch you watching a movie like that. So I used to have that. I used to have all the stickers. I used to have a box, It was called the Pokemon box. It was literally a box from an old vacuum cleaner. Okay, because you cannot have like a fancy box or just go out and buy a box. Now my grandmother was like, hey, here you go. You want the box? Here you go. This old box from a vacuum machine, and it's like looks like shit. That vacuum machine is probably 50 years old, like from communist day, and the box looks fucked up, like old pictures and like all yellowish and like shit. But what I did, I took markers and stuff, so I kind of painted the whole box and put stickers. It was very nice. It was kind of like, it was a big box, and I keep it in the wardrobe because there was no space for it where my stuff was supposed to be at the bottom. I filled that box with everything imaginable that was Pokemon, everything. And then my uncle, this is the thing, if you're resourceful and creative, you don't need a lot of money to have fun. So what I did, because my uncle is he draws very good, but he hasn't done it in a long time. And there was a magazine called Pokemon something. So it was a weekly Bulgarian magazine, talk only about Pokemons. It didn't last long because the Pokemon fade, it lasted like 6-7 months, maybe a year max. But that I got every single issues, and it was just like the story of the Pokemons and a bit about the show and fan drawings and all that stuff. And they had a contest where if you draw something and if you send a picture and if it's really nice, they'll publish it. So what I did, I really wanted to get my stuff published. And I'm not a good drawer, so you need to draw something Pokemon related. So I got my uncle. So he sit down and draw my favorite Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon was a Pokemon called Geodude. It was literally a rock with arms and fists. That's it. I don't know what was it about him, but I loved him. I was obsessed with him. Okay, he was a Pokemon of one of the main characters. I think it was called Brock. One of the main characters, right? The thing about me is I don't like mainstream stuff. Like, for instance, I've never liked Pikachu because everybody loves him. You know what I mean? So I'm that type of guy. You know what I mean? So when you look at whatever, like even comic books, like my favorite comic book characters are Ghost Rider and Punisher. Most people are, like Captain America and Iron Man, like from the Captain America. Oh, and Red Skull, he's up there. Red Skull as well. So like, I don't like the mainstream. If everybody's like, oh, no. So I loved him. So I got him. I showed him a picture. So he drew it so amazing. Like the drawing was amazing, right? And I got my aunt who was living, in our house. She was unbelievable at drawing out coloring. I know it sounds weird, but like if you give her a coloring book, she was so good because she mixed colors and she put highlights on them. She made it unbelievably nice, right? And my uncle, he was not good at coloring that much, and my aunt, she couldn't draw. So I combined it and I made an absolutely unbelievable picture. I didn't made it at all, and I just signed my name on it. That's how much of a sneaky artist I am. I wish that I kept that picture, by the way. And we send it. By the way, why didn't they just want a copy or something? You know what I mean? Like, if you do something nice, just keep it for yourself. I'm so disappointed that I don't have anything from my Pokemon collection. I'll tell you what happened at the end. And so we sent it over, and it got published. And there was even like a little like, oh my god, blah blah blah, it's so amazing. He's only 14, 13, or 15. And I was like, yeah, there's no way a 14 can draw something that nice, So yeah, it was unbelievable, and I was like so happy. And I had the magazine. And then I got my uncle, and I was like, you know what, we need to update these Pokemon collections, you know what I mean? And I sat down and I found a few Pokemons that are doable, that my grandmother can actually produce, So we sit down and we picked out a few, I remember. And he did the drawing because I explained what I wanted. He just did the drawing. We cut it out. And we sit down and we find out it was a whole experience. We found out the fabric because there was a place where they sell fabric. So I went with my grandmother's because she needs to choose. And, we got the little cutout. She put it on the fabric, she did like the little outlines. She did the stuffing. I mean, it was kind of basic. It's not like a perfect plushie, it's kind of like a 2D because it was just like two pieces of outline fabrics with a bit of cushioning, just sewn together. And I think I drew some stuff, or my uncle drew some stuff on it. But it looked homemade. It would look so nice, and I'm so fucking mad at. But when you're 15 and 16 and when you grow out of stuff, you never realize that when you grow older, you have such a nostalgia that you want to have those things back. That's why I was thinking to throw. I said to my sister, because she grow out of some toys and they put them in storage or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'll sell them on eBay or we can get rid of them. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, then I said, nah, let's not do that, because 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, she will really get nostalgic and she will want to have some of her old toys. Because for me, the only toy that I have left from my childhood, that's the only thing I have left, is this. And this thing is not even, I didn't even play with this. Like, I had this throughout the years and it was in the basement. There was not like a main thing. I just used it in the bathtub sometimes. There was a period where we had a bathtub. This is the only thing. This is a badass, by the way, like Cookie Monster on a fucking floating thingamajig. Are you kidding me? But that was not like my main thing. And I have my comic books, which are the Mickey Mouse comic books. When I was in Bulgaria last time, I got them. They're still alive and they're here. They're very good condition. These are the only two things I have from my childhood. And I'm so mad because I wish I had more stuff, because my childhood was amazing. And so then I have that. So yeah, we did the toys and I was so happy, right? I had, but there was a big issue. I couldn't tell anybody because, like I said, it was viewed as, lame. They're gonna beat me up. And I was, at that time, my cousin, she lives 5 minutes away from me. We're very close, like a brother and sister. So I was going to her place in her like region of the neighborhood, and I was playing, and I kind of made friends with her friends, you know what I mean, who lived around her. And they were kind of like, they were smoking, they were kind of like, like bad boys, and like the girls, or you know what I mean. So they were not like geeky nerds like me, so they were kind of like cool people, and they had this, oh mate, they had this catalog where you can order stuff from the UK and America. Oh, which is amazing. It was like a very complicated way, but they literally ordered stuff from America, and they were like into new metal and Marilyn Manson and Limp Bizkit, and they introduced me to that music in Linkin Park, and I was like, oh, I've never heard music like this before, and rap music and all that stuff, So I couldn't say I couldn't say that I loved Pokemons, because they'll beat the fuck out of me. So what I did one day, and I was so closeted. I was in the Pokemon closet deep, you know what I mean, and I didn't came out as well. I couldn't do it. And one day I just mentioned to my cousin that I like Pokemon, that I've been collecting and stuff, because we were in the park playing, but her mates went to get something, from the local shop, and me and her were just talking, and I just said, yeah, she mentioned it, Pokemon. I said this new show. They're like, oh yeah, what do you think? She's like, yeah, not bad. And I just said to her, just to let you know, I'm a big fan. I have a collection, but please don't tell anybody. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that show. I mean, I've watched a few, actually watched it. I liked it. And then it was literally, every time I was by herself, we talk about Pokemon. Oh, bro, I was so, did you see the latest episode? Did you see that happen? Oh my god, I found this. And maybe she was like, oh, I went to the shops and I saw this. Maybe you like it, Pokemon, whatever. And I never told anybody except her. And I remember one day, my mom, it was like some occasion, birthday or Christmas or whatever, I don't know. And she came back and she bought me this shirt with so many Pokemons, with this huge print, massive print, and it was like embossed, but it was like rubbery, you know what I mean? Amazing shirt. Pokemon, everything, right? But it was like it was like a baby blue color or whatever, and I wore the fuck out of that shirt. But underneath all my clothes in secret, every time I went out or when I was in the house, I didn't get that shirt off, And I was thinking, I was just praying. I was like, oh my god, if something happens now and if I have to remove my clothes and people see me with that shirt, they'll fucking kill me. At least now I have a little sister, so I can be like, oh no, she's into that stuff, and I bought it for her and whatever, you know what I mean. Because if they catch me with like a little Pokemon fucking stickers or some games or some plush, no, it's for her, I did that a few times. I went to look for some action figures. I want just to have a look. And I was thinking to say if I buy some. No, I just actually asked somebody, oh, sorry, I'm looking for presents. It was around Christmas for my nephews, for my cousins and sister. They're 10 and 11 or whatever. Where you keep the blah, blah, blah. It was for me. It was not for them. I was looking at toys and shit. But yeah, I'm big into nostalgia now, and I'm just going back. But yeah, and after 6 months, I just phased away. I don't know why. Something else came along, and I'm very obsessive, and I got obsessed with something else. But and that box eventually, because we used to have a basement, and it's a very small place where we live, a lot of people, so a lot of the stuff go to the basement, and it's in the basement, and we haven't basement, like, it's been 10 years now. So I think even when I was in Bulgaria, so before I leave, there's been rats and moist and nothing survived. But when I go back to Bulgaria, I will try to go to that basement. I think there's nothing there, but if I can find something in that basement, I will lose my mind. I'll probably maybe even take a video or something and show you what I have. But yeah, oh my god, man, it was amazing. It was amazing. How much of that? Wow, 51 minutes. Well, that's what happened when you talk about Pokemons, innit? But yeah, and I don't have anything from that moment of my life, but I was obsessed, mate. It was so much fun. And if you're a Pokemon fan, you love that. But yeah, okay. Listen, I'll see you next week. And go out there and catch them all. Hope that you enjoyed this episode. I told you, mate, I'm just talking nonsense over here. It's still pandemic. What can you do? Take care, mate. I'll see you next week. Bye, bye, bye.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.